Okay, good morning. So we're up to Siman Kuf Samach Ches Halacha Yud Gimel. We'll just do one sif today. Interesting sif. Says the Mechaber, Afilu Davar Sheblilosoi, even something where the dough or the mixture, Pirush Lishas Hakemach B'mayim, when you need the flour with the water, Ova, even though the mixture is very thick, in Bishla Etigna, if you cook that dough, Etigna, you fry it, Ein mevarech aleh hamoitzi. You don't make hamoitzi on that. Afilu sheyesh aleh terusa tenamo, even though it's got the appearance of bread. Afilu nischayv b'chala, even though in hilchas chala it is chayev. Why? The birchas hamoitzi ein helech ela acha shasafia. And at the shasafia, it hasn't got. If you're frying it or you're doing something different, then it's lost its status of bread. Yesh cholkin va'imrim, and others argue and they say no. To kol she'tchilas ha'isa avo, so long as the initial dough is thick, and the definition of thick and raka is does it flow or not? When you take the dough and you pour it onto a plate, is it going to sort of flow over, or is it going to just stay static? If it's static, it's avo. But even if the isa is avo, afilu rikcha achkach b'mayim, even if you soften it later with water, v'also sufganen, and you make some sort of donuts, pancakes or something, pirush isa shenelesha v'asur kamin sfaig, like some sort of donut, ubishla b'mayim v'tigna b'shem, and you cook it in water, or you fry it in oil, mevarich oleh hamoitzi. The others argue and say no, that if it's got a thick dough, then it would, you make hamoitzi and you bench. V'nogu lahakel, and we're knowing lahakel, we'll see what that means in the Mishnah. V'yirei shemayim yezdei shneihem, the Yirei Shemayim should try and fulfill both of these shittas. That you actually should wash first and bench, and therefore have it as part of the meal, and therefore there's no shaila. Says the Ramah, this is only true that you have to be choshesh. This is hamoitzi if it has this sort of the appearance of bread after you've baked it. If it hasn't got that appearance, could go in lokshen shekerin vumzalach. You don't make hamoitzi v'lo shalosh brachos. Shalosh brachos is another way of saying birchas hamazon. V'lo mikri lechem, and it's not considered lechem. Avol pastida or kreplach. Pastida is some sort of like meatloaf or pie with mazonis, with pastry and with filling. A kreplach, right, which is a dough with meat or whatever inside you have in your soup. Mikri ta lechem. Ve'ein lo'achlam elem kein birch al kol shar hapas lechem, which we'll see exactly in the Mishnah more details. That's talking about a dough which hasn't got any shemen or dvash. You just happen to fry it. If you add shemen and dvash and things like that, we've already explained, it's a pasababa kisnin, that would one of the reasons that would be called pasababa kisnin mazonis if you have a flavored dough. Okay, let's see the detail in the Mishnah. Yud Gimel sheblilosei raka. Sorry, avo. So you've got a thick mixture, a thick dough. You make a thick dough like bread. In bishla, now, if you cook that, which is not, that's the whole show, you're not baking it in an oven like with bread, but if you cook it, bishel b'mayim, the tigun b'shemen, and tigun is with oil, frying it is with oil, ein mevorech, afilu aprus sheishven kazayis, even on bits which have got a kazayis, you make a mazonis on it. The bishul doesn't take away the teras lechem that we said previously. Why? There, it was a proper loaf of bread. It was definitely bread, and you happen to then put it in some liquid, so it doesn't lose its status of hamoitzi. She'ofer, because it was previously baked. As opposed to here, it was never baked. You had some mixture of dough, and then you cook it, so it never got the status of bread in the first place. It's lost its status of lechem. If you put ma'at shemen, if you put a little bit of oil in a frying pan, in order that you shouldn't burn the issa, not because you want to fry it, because you want to make some sort of bread. That's still called, you put a little bit of oil on your pan that you put the bread in the oven. That's not called frying. That's definitely still called baking. Teresa denamo, it's got an appearance of bread. So you can have a lot of this pasta or whatever this form is. These boiled donuts. They haven't got Torah in the hammer. They haven't got a shape of bread, and therefore, as much as you eat of it, you make a mazonis and a lamicha. So you can have 3 bowls of pasta, which is kviya suda, but you would never make a hamoitzi and a birchas hamazon on that sort of thing. Ayin aleph, va'afilu nischayve b'chala. According to this first opinion, even if it's got a status of challah, rotzolem, what does that mean? Afilu b'inyan shekari lechem in challah. In respect of bread, in respect of challah, it's considered bread. Kugoin shebishas lish lohe b'daita levash le'tagna. The time when you need it together, you don't intend to be mevashlet in water l'tagnoi. Va'achkach nimlach, and then you decided, hey, let me fry this. Shuchayev b'challah l'divrei kol. Then you would definitely be chayiv chalak and will be there. Afilu hachi and v'rachamoitzi. Why? Because shas afir the lo mikri lechem ela ofui. What's lechem? Lechem is when it's baked. But if you're not baking it, you're boiling it or you're frying it, then it's not called bread. But challah is different. Why? Because the cutoff is the shas lisha. When it comes to challah, the ikka time is when you add the water with the flour. Because once it's made a dough, that's when the chi of challah kicks in. And what you do subsequently is irrelevant. It's still got a din of challah. Second opinion in the Mechaber, Ayin Gimel. The Svir Lahu, the second opinion hold, the Kivin de Mekara Hoya Bilosa Ava, since the mice at the beginning, it was a Belila Ava, which means it was a thick mixture of dough. Fa'ata Ispe Lechem, and now it has the appearance of bread. Mevorech hamoitzi, you still make hamoitzi. Vafilu ba'echel achilas arai shelo kavos sudazeh. Even if you have a small amount, the lechem gamu lededu chudekam b'hago is considered proper bread. V'nagu pirish kasvar rishona. We are noig like the first opinion. Te'ein sorech levorech hamoitzi v'shalosh brachos. You don't need to make hamoitzi or shalosh brachos, which means birchas hamazon. V'nag lehakel. Says the Mishabura Ayin Hey, Kosva Magen Avram, Tezeh Dafka B'lo Achel Kadei Svia. So which is back to the old thing we spoke about last week. That's when you didn't eat Kadei Svia. Dahainu Birchas Hamazon Shaloi Hu Rak Midrabanan. Because if it says V'Chalta V'Sovata Berachta Minat Torah, the only chiyuv to bench is when you eat to satiation. Midrabanan, they say even if you have a smaller amount, you still got to bench. So therefore, the chiyuv Birchas Hamazon Shaloi Rak Midrabanan if you didn't have Kadei Svia. Lakach Nakdin Kadei Rishon LaHakel. Therefore we make but if you ate a large amount where you're satisfied, the chiyuv birchas hamazon midaraisa, there the chiyuv is deraisa, tzarich levarich birchas hamazon misafik, safik deraisa lechumra, and therefore you do make a birchas hamazon. V'chein mashmi agro. Ach kol zeh b'shah shalosh. That's only true at the time of kneading. For also b'losa ava, when it was a thick dough. Hayadai to lefes pas. Aval she'achakach nimlech also is some sifkanin. But afterwards you decided with this dough you're going to make donuts, pancakes, or whatever. Aval k'shoydai to mitchil levash b'tagan. But if at the outset you were going to fry it or cook it or whatever, then you only make an alamichya and the birchas hamazon, bracha of mazonis. So, for example, again, the pasta you can have as much as you want, but that never has a status of hamoitzi. It's not got a Torah lechem, etc. And that was your intention at the outset. Even according to the second opinion, you'd always make a mazonis and alamichya on that, regardless of how much you eat. Even according to this Yirei Shamayim, even if he intended at the outset to fry it or to cook it, he should eat it as part of a meal. Even if he eats a small amount, he should wash first. If Yirei Shamayim should do that. This is the Ramah. It's not so precise. So Pirushay, what he means is after you cook it in a pot or you fry it in a pan. This Ramah is only if you've got a kazais. That if you're eating a very small amount, then for sure, even according to the second opinion, it doesn't have the status of bread. In Sif Yud, we didn't need a Toya Lechem, the appearance of bread, because there again, you've baked it originally, and therefore it started life as bread, and therefore even less than a kazais, it's got a din of bread. Pastida v'kreplach. So these are, what is that? Pirush, shemamaluin bebasa. You've got like a meatloaf, where you fill it with meat, or what's it called, deli roll, they call it in America. Because if you fill it with fruit, like an apple pie or something like that, strudel, have a pasabah b'kisnin, then it comes under what we said previously, then for sure you make a mezonist, but if you have a lot of it, then it's different. Even if it's baked in an oven. The Taz is of the opinion that even pastry which is filled with meat, v'dogim or fish, that's definitely got a status of mezonus. And when you haven't eaten a lot. And I'll explain to you at the end the actual halacha l'maisa. Pei aleph mikri toya lechem rotzolem b'riyesh mayim haaretz lo says das yesh cholkin hanal. Then you should just wash and bench. Okay. V'chol zeh pei base. So if I know such a mayim, yeah, b'shemen. V'chol zeh pirush hayesh cholkin hanal s'vir lehu. They say that if it started off with a thick dough mixture and then you cook it or fry it, it's still got a din of bread. Even if you weren't kaveh suda, that's if it wasn't initially cooked with shemen and dvash. Since it started off with this thick dough, kasha lechem, it's got a din of lechem. In other words, when it started off life with a thick issa, if you subsequently cook it or fry it, it doesn't lose its status according to the second opinion. But when you initially knead it with honey or other things before you fry it, it never had the status of issa, of dough. And therefore it hasn't got the status of moitzi. If you're not kaveh suda, how you pass because it's definitely mezonus. If you kaveh and you had a lot of it, according to the first opinion, it's always got a din of mezonus and ala michya. But according to the second opinion, if you have a lot of it, then you would still make a moitzi and birchas hamazon. Okay.